Hello, Maruchan des.
Alright, so I'm going to start where I left off, and we're going to continue working on this Doomsday. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and use the IMM tune, and I'm going to put in just a big torso. Group split, take the mask off of that, select the torso, then we can start moving this thing into place. A foundation, a strong foundation, something that tends to be ignored when people are building characters or anything for that matter. If you focus on a strong foundation, everything else you're going to lay on top of it will flow better. And we can apply that to almost anything in design. I went ahead and used another tool from the IMM Tune Brush. Muscle arm fits appropriately to what we're trying to do here. Group split again. I like to try to keep things separate as long as possible. It gives me options. That's part of it. And the other part of doing it this way too is that it helps me when I'm trying to get in and define certain parts of the torso, the armpit area, the connection between the pecs and the deltoids. Pretty much just so I can define things and make them look a lot more natural without having to fight with the mesh to kind of allow me to get in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna subdivide this torso. One of the main factors when you're going to be sculpting characters is obviously anatomy. So brushing up on your anatomy and really getting in there and figuring out how stuff works and looking at what body shapes look like from different angles and in different situations is very important. This is how you're going to build confidence. It's not so much about building speed, it's about building confidence so that when you're in here you can confidently just start building shapes. You can start, making some unique stuff as well. That anatomy knowledge isn't just going to be used to, build human characters. That knowledge can be used to build, all kinds of things, creatures, you can study different types of anatomy, look at the anatomy of, you know, for example, like a horse, look at the anatomy of like a gorilla, just animal anatomy in general and see how that works. The body's a machine and once you start to figure out how it works and why it works, you can start building things, outside of this world basically. Things that normally wouldn't exist, you could start to develop your own systems of anatomy, and that's how you bring your creatures and certain types of characters to life. Anatomy's number one, man. Like I'm not even gonna, I could say the only thing when it comes to being, if you want to be a character artist or anything like that, from what I've seen, um, anatomy is just gonna be anatomy is gonna be king. Whether you want to build creatures or whether you want to build characters, anatomy is gonna be the thing that separates you from the pack. Get familiar with it. Let it be something that that you enjoy. That's first off, you have to enjoy this kind of stuff. You have to be able to sit here and just sculpt for hours on end and just have fun and just get enveloped in the process and be eager to just learn something new each time, which is why I encourage people to just start fresh. Each base, have it be different. You know, you never want to start. Having a base mesh is great. Base meshes are great if you're in a situation where if you're on deadline and you got to build something quick and you don't have the time to be experimenting with shapes and everything's kind of already been outlined for you, then of course, just use a base mesh, get your work done, and then, that's the end of it. But for personal growth and, um, just for personal growth and creative purposes, make every single base. Just, it's a good exercise and, it's never gonna, this is always gonna be a thing. It's a learning process. for me. It's a learning process still for, for anybody out there that you look up to, that you admire. I could bet you, anything that they're still learning as well. And if they're successful at what they're doing and revered as great character artists, I can guarantee you that it's because they're constantly learning, and they don't see themselves as knowing everything, you know. And I've met a couple of these guys, and they're really cool people in general, and very humble as well. I recently had the privilege of taking a class with Geo Nakbil, and that completely just changed the way that I looked at form and shape. And you know if you guys have the opportunity to go ahead and to take that class with him, I would highly recommend it. I don't believe that I think his class is already it's already started, it's already in session. But if they offer another class through Mold 3D, I would highly encourage that you guys take that. And I'm not just plugging Geo here. Geo's he doesn't need me to do that. Geo's work speaks for itself. Um, but yeah, anatomy is gonna be that one thing, and you're always learning new things. As long as you keep that attitude, you should be, you'll be on the right path. So we're blocking this out here. I've been through this process so many times now that it's kind of like second nature to me. Um, you know, I wouldn't say exactly like second nature to me. I mean, I got a long way to go, but I've just done this so many times that it just feels natural to me. I'm turning the model around and I'm looking at every angle. I'm trying to, be sure that it looks good regardless of what angle I'm looking at it. So we got some pretty good shapes up here. Keep in mind, I'm trying to keep these short, just like I said before, for time purposes. When I try to get these out to you guys as fast as I can. I know it's tough to learn anything from the sped up time lapses, so this is why I'm doing this. It's a learning process for me. It's going to be a learning process for a long time. I look forward to that. I'm having fun with this. This is what I like to do. Gotta stick to it. Gotta stick to what you're good at. See how far you can go with it. And even if you aren't good at something, obviously everybody starts somewhere. I still feel like I'm an amateur in the game, so around a little bit. Once again, it's very important to look at your shapes from every angle. I want to just look at it, see where you're going. Doomsday's a pretty big guy, so I'm probably not doing him justice right now as far as the size of his body goes, but we'll get there. The more you do anything, the more comfortable you'll get, better you'll get at it. I find that following the shape of the muscle, the way that the muscle naturally striates, is pretty important. It'll get you that natural shape that you're looking for. That's just me. If you follow the muscle, you're going to get a more natural shape. When you really look at things and you really start to break things down, you're going to start to notice that there's several small nuances that you'll start to pick up on. For example, the forearms actually rotate a little bit inward when the arm is in a neutral position. Everything is just always kind of there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm to the shapes in the arms, there's a rhythm to the shapes in the torso. You just have to find that rhythm and get familiar with it so that your sculpt will follow those lines and things will kind of just, fall into place for you. Not that it's that simple, obviously, things aren't just going to fall into place, but as long as you're laying down the proper lines of the body, they're gonna they're gonna start to fit together like puzzle pieces, just naturally. The body flows together. It fits together a certain way. So once you start to see those rhythms and you start to pick up on them, you're gonna start to notice that your work starts to it starts to improve. It starts to get better. It starts to look more natural. For the hands, if I'm just doing a quick sculpt, I don't usually worry about them. I can do hands. It's not it's not a matter of not knowing how to do them. It's just a matter of trying to focus on the overall shape. That's another thing um, that I think is extremely important is overall shape. That's what you want to kind of focus on from the very beginning, which is why I like to start off at a low resolution, because you want to look at what is the overall shape here? Where am I going to go with this? Does it look right? Is everything flowing together? And the relationship between, proportions, that's another thing, There's so much that goes into it. Right now we're just working on just a relaxed pose. I'm kind of taking you through just how I would approach a character and lay down basic shapes. I know Doomsday's way bigger than this, way more muscular. So once again, if you guys have any questions, if you want to see me sculpt anything in particular, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to try to accommodate you guys. For now, my plan is, like I said before, keep on going with this Doomsday and just share a little bit more of my workflow as I go. Just move things around a little bit here. And all I've been using throughout this entire time has just been move brushes and clay buildup. So it's nothing special. There's no magic brushes out there. It's all just studying your anatomy and sculpting over and over and over again. There really is no secret.